How can you defeat the enemies of your discipline if their greatest strength is that they are invisible? Ancient wisdom from the East reveals that the most disciplined people don't rely on willpower. First, they learn to see their adversaries. They identified 4 inner demons that sabotage our progress. These enemies don't attack all at once. They operate in a deadly sequence, each one weakening your defenses for the next. But masters developed a framework to reverse this attack pattern, turning each destroyer into a protector. In this guide, we will expose each of these enemies and the precise countermeasure to defeat them. The first enemy strikes before you even begin. In fact, it's likely whispering to you right now. In Taoist philosophy, it is called Yi-Ha, the confusion of intention. It is the voice of reasonable doubt that masquerades as wisdom. It says, "Perhaps this isn't the right moment. What if I'm not truly prepared? I should research and plan just a little more before I act." These thoughts seem wise, but they are the first enemy in disguise. There is a legend of General Zhang, a strategist undefeated on the field of war. Yet he nearly lost an entire campaign from within his own tent before a single sword was drawn. Before each battle, he would spend days obsessed with every possibility of failure, mapping each scenario where he could lose. To his soldiers, the general seemed a responsible and cautious leader. But while he deliberated, his enemies fortified their positions. By the time Zhang finally decided to attack, he had already lost the psychological war. His master, observing this, drew a circle in the dirt and said, "Your mind has fought 1,000 battles and lost them all. Your sword, however, has not yet fought one." This is the pattern of Yi-Ha. It disguises self-destruction as careful planning. While you feel sensible, it is draining your momentum and weakening your resolve. The ancient countermeasure is the Wu-Wei decision, or effortless action. This does not mean being reckless, but recognizing that the internal debate is the enemy. Here is the technique that defeats Yi-Ha instantly. The 3-breath rule. When you feel doubt creeping in, first breath, inhale and simply acknowledge the hesitation. Do not fight it. Second breath, exhale and name the enemy. Tell yourself, "This is Yi-Ha, the doubt." Third breath, commit to a single, small action before your mind can raise another objection. Try it now with something you've been putting off. That email, that workout, that conversation. First breath, notice the resistance. Second breath, recognize the enemy. Third breath, act. The moment you act, Yi-Ha loses its power. But here is what most people don't expect. Defeating doubt doesn't create confidence. It reveals an emptiness. And in that emptiness, the second enemy is already waiting. The second enemy is even more dangerous precisely because it doesn't feel like an enemy at all. Buddhist texts call it an-yi, comfortable stagnation. It is the comfort trap. Unlike doubt, which announces itself with anxiety, an-yi wraps you in chains of silk, so soft you don't realize you're trapped until it is too late. The algorithm of modern life is designed to eliminate friction, and this is exactly how an-yi conquers you. Your phone knows which videos will keep you scrolling. Your couch has memorized the perfect shape of your body. Your routines have carved grooves so deep that any deviation feels like climbing a mountain. There is an ancient parable of a wealthy merchant who built himself a palace of pure gold. Every surface was smooth, every need anticipated. Servants appeared before he knew he was hungry. At first, he felt like a king, but after a year, he couldn't walk to his own garden without exhaustion. After 2 years, making simple decisions paralyzed him. After 3, he couldn't remember why he'd wanted wealth in the first place. The golden palace hadn't made him powerful. It had made him its prisoner. This is what makes An-Yi deadlier than doubt. Yi-Ha attacks your mind, but An-Yi erodes your very capacity for discomfort. It doesn't argue with your discipline. It simply makes discipline unnecessary until you forget you ever had it. The ancient countermeasure is the controlled discomfort protocol, deliberately introducing small challenges that keep your edge sharp. But the key insight is that you don't fight comfort by seeking pain. You fight it by strategic positioning, arranging your environment so that discipline becomes the path of least resistance. Delete the apps that trap you. Put your gym clothes next to your bed. Keep healthy food at eye level and junk food out of sight. Make the right choice, the easy choice. The moment you start breaking free from comfort's grip, you'll discover why An-Yi was setting you up for defeat. Because when you can no longer hide in comfort, your mind has nowhere to run except into chaos itself. The third enemy has been waiting for this moment.
While Yi-Ho confused your intentions and An-Yi weakened your tolerance for discomfort, the next enemy will shatter your focus entirely. The Zen masters called it San Luang, the scattered spirit. This is the force that fragments your attention into 1,000 useless pieces. And here's why it's so lethal. It uses your victories against the first 2 enemies as weapons. Remember defeating doubt? San Luan turns that clarity into overthinking. Remember breaking free from comfort? San Luan fills that space with chaos. This is the multiplier enemy. It transforms your strength into weakness. Ancient monks observed this through the story of Master Yuan, the greatest archer in China. He could hit a sparrow in flight, but when he tried to hit 3 targets at once, he missed them all. His teacher blindfolded him and said, "Now hit the center target." He protested, "I can't see anything." "Exactly," his teacher replied. "When you see everything, you hit nothing." This is the curse of our age. Your mind processes more information before breakfast than your ancestors saw in a year. Every notification is an arrow aimed at your attention. San Luan thrives in this chaos. The traditional countermeasure is single-point meditation. The modern adaptation is the 90-second reset protocol. When you feel your mind fragmenting, stop everything. Set a timer for 90 seconds. Choose one point of focus, your breath, a spot on the wall, the sensation in your hands. For those 90 seconds, that point is your entire universe. Every time your mind wanders, and it will, simply note thinking and return to your point. Don't fight the distractions. Don't judge the wandering. Just return again and again. This isn't meditation. It's combat training. You're building the mental muscle that San Luan has been systematically weakening. Because here's what happens when you defeat all 3 enemies in sequence. Yi-Ho's doubt transforms into clarity. An-Yi's comfort transforms into readiness. San Luan's chaos transforms into laser focus. You become unstoppable. But this is exactly when the most dangerous enemy strikes. It waits until you've won every battle, until you feel invincible. The final enemy doesn't attack your weakness. It hides inside your strength, and it's been there all along, watching you defeat its lieutenants, waiting for the perfect moment to destroy everything you've built. The final enemy is already inside you, celebrating every victory you've had so far. Confucian scholars called it Ao Man, the pride that grows from discipline itself. This is the enemy that preys only on winners, which is why it's the deadliest of all. It doesn't fight your discipline, it becomes your discipline. The symptoms are subtle: judging others for their lack of discipline, feeling superior because of your routines, panicking when your systems are disrupted, or worst of all, forgetting why you wanted discipline in the first place. There was a monk named Hui who spent 20 years perfecting his discipline. Students traveled from across China to learn from him. They called him the unmovable mountain. One morning, a young student arrived late to meditation. Hui's anger exploded like a volcano. He berated the student for lacking discipline, for disrespecting the practice, for wasting everyone's time. That night, Hui couldn't sleep. He realized the truth. His discipline had become his god, and he had become its prisoner. The discipline he'd spent 20 years building vanished like morning mist. This is how Alman operates. It turns your discipline into armor, then convinces you the armor is your skin. You stop seeing discipline as a tool and start seeing it as your identity. I am disciplined becomes more important than what discipline was supposed to achieve. The ancient countermeasure comes from Zen Buddhism, Shoshin, the beginner's mind protocol. Every morning, before you begin your disciplined routine, spend 30 seconds forgetting everything you know about discipline. Approach each task as if you've never done it before. This isn't pretending. It's the recognition that Alman feeds on expertise, on the feeling that you've mastered something. Beginner's mind starves this enemy of its food. Here's your daily humility checkpoint. Ask yourself, what would I do differently if I had no discipline at all? The answer reveals whether you're using discipline as a tool or worshiping it as a master. Because here's the ultimate paradox. True discipline is invisible. It doesn't announce itself or demand recognition. It simply does what needs to be done, then disappears. Remember the opening truth. The strongest warriors weren't those who fought the hardest, but those who recognized what they were truly fighting. The strongest discipline looks like no discipline at all. The four enemies are no longer hidden. Their weapons are exposed. Their patterns are mapped. The only question that matters is which enemy is winning in your life right now.